Okay, I want you to take a deep breath and just put yourself in a very specific scenario for a second. Imagine you're 47 years old. You're standing in the produce aisle of a grocery store, just holding a shopping basket, when your phone vibrates. It's a woman named Evelyn from Forbes. She's calling to verify your net worth for their upcoming billionaire list. She asked you, point blank, if $1.84 billion in liquid assets is accurate. You put the peaches back, you walk out without even paying for the basket, you sit in your car for 6 full minutes before turning the key. Why? Because nobody in your family has ever been on that list. Honestly, nobody in your family has ever even heard of that list. In this explainer, we're tracing the complete anatomy of a first-generation billionaire. We're breaking down the exact 28-year timeline of how someone goes from having absolutely nothing to a 10-figure net worth.
But to really understand the end of this journey, we've got to plunge right back to the beginning, the absolute bottom. Picture this. You're 19 years old. You're working the dishwashing station behind a Filipino restaurant in Queens called Lola's. The sink is just a bit too low, so your back physically aches every single night by 11 p.m. You're making exactly $11 an hour, your dad works construction over New Jersey, and your mom cleans houses in Manhattan. They arrived in this country with 2 suitcases and exactly $340. And you carry that number, 340, like this silent, heavy weight, because your mom reminds you of it every single Sunday at dinner. Not as a brag, but as a heavy reality check.
So that brings us to phase 1, the proof and start, age 19 to 24. This right here is the exact moment a worker's mindset shifts to an owner's mindset. While you're standing there, mindlessly spraying plates with a high-pressure hose, you start mentally deconstructing the whole restaurant's business model. You're watching 84 tables turn over twice on a Friday night. You calculate the average check in your head. You estimate food costs at maybe 28%, labor at 33%, which leaves a net margin of what, maybe 12%? You start tracking which delivery driver shows up when and what ordering patterns maximize turnover. You're writing all these observations down in a little notebook. You see, you aren't just washing dishes anymore. You are actively studying a business model. You manage to scrape together and save $140 over 7 months, and you absolutely refuse to spend a single dime of it. During this time, you realize something absolutely crucial about your family's relationship with wealth. They live inside money the way fish live inside water, always aware of it, but never above it. Your family doesn't talk about money, they just move it, they survive it. And this heavy realization, that's your fuel. Fast forward a bit to age 24. Now, you're running a small digital agency out of a basement. You're sleeping on a $180 mattress you found on Facebook Marketplace. You're bringing in $6,800 a month, and every month you send $800 to your mom, who is, by the way, still cleaning houses. Years later, you find out she secretly put every single dollar of that into a savings account for you. When you eventually find that out, you literally break down and cry in a parking lot for 14 minutes.
Moving on to phase 2, velocity and discipline. This hits right around age 28.
At this stage, the agency isn't really an agency anymore. You've automated all the boring stuff and transformed it into a software platform. And here, you face a concept almost everyone gets completely wrong about success. You hit $184,000 in monthly recurring revenue. A venture capital firm, Theo Partners, comes along and offers you $4 million for 16% of your company. You take a walk along the East River. You think about that cheap $180 mattress. You think about your mother's secret savings account. And you say no. You literally turn down $4 million. When the VC partner asks you why, you tell him it's because accepting that number means he owns the last ceiling you will ever have to negotiate. You see, true velocity isn't just about speed. It's the absolute discipline to decline acceleration at the wrong moment. By the time you hit 32, well, that discipline pays off in a staggering way. You reach an incredible $21 million in annual recurring revenue. You've got 94 employees working for you. And now you don't actually need the money, which means it is the absolute perfect time to take it. You close your first real capital raise, a $40 million Series B. But look, with outside capital comes outside opinions, right? You're now sitting through these grueling 4.5-hour board meetings. To survive this next decade of your life, you have to develop a very specific management survival skill. You must learn how to sit across from a venture partner who has incredibly strong opinions about your go-to-market strategy, deeply listen to them when they are 60% correct, and have the internal fortitude to not let them convince you they are 100% correct. You've transitioned from running the company to essentially running the people who run the company.
Which brings us to phase 3, outsiders and scale, taking us from age 32 to 37.
Now, as you hit massive scale, there's this intense, quiet isolation that sets in. There is a really stark contrast at this level of success. For example, on a random Tuesday in November, your company crosses a $100 million valuation on paper. Most people would be popping champagne, right? But what do you actually do? You're emailing your VP of engineering, Lena, who was your very first employee, by the way, asking her to stay late to fix a critical server issue. You order a pizza, you eat 3 slices, and you finally drag yourself home at 1 in the morning. The glamour of that paper valuation, it's a ghost. The gritty reality of doing the actual work is all there really is. As the scale keeps growing, family dynamics inevitably start to bend. You've got cousins pitching you terrible business ideas, aunts whispering that you've changed, but you and your mom, you develop this silent understanding. You go out and buy your parents a house for $840,000, straight cash. You leave it completely unfurnished so they can make it their own. But you want to know the most profound detail of all? Your dad plants a simple, tiny vegetable garden in the backyard. That little patch of dirt essentially becomes his entire retirement. And you softly realize that his garden is the thing you treasure most about your wealth.
Next up is Phase 4, the paper billionaire, age 42.
As you enter your early 40s, the numbers just start getting truly abstract. The disconnect between your cap table and your actual daily life gets kind of fascinating. Your position hits $1.9 billion on paper. I mean, it looks like a mistake somebody scribbled on a napkin. But you don't live like a billionaire. You're still driving a 9-year-old Lexus. You live in a comfortable but normal 4-bedroom craftsman house. Your 8-year-old daughter, she has no idea about the $1 billion. What she does know is that her dad takes way too many phone calls, so she asks you to put your phone in a drawer on Sundays. And you do. You quietly donate $4 million to charity, and you don't tell a single soul. Then, one Thursday night, you get a call from your mom. She just read an article that used the word billionaire next to your name for the very first time. You immediately try to downplay it, telling her it's just on paper, it doesn't mean anything. There's this long, heavy silence on the line. And then she just says, "Mijo, your father and I had $340 when we got off the plane. You were always going to do this." You honestly don't know if that's true. But man, you deeply hope it is. Finally, Phase 5, the real billion. Age 47. The company has gone public, the lockup periods have expired, the paper has finally turned into reality. Sitting alone in your car in the driveway exactly 31 minutes after Forbes verified your $1.84 billion liquid net worth, you reflect on this entire 28-year climb, from the aching back at the dish sink to the basement in Astoria, the endless boardroom battles, all the way to the public offering. Meanwhile, your wife is inside taking hospital calls because her pediatric patients absolutely do not care about Forbes lists. And that brings us to, honestly, the most grounding moment of all. You walk inside your house. You have $1.84 billion. Your 13-year-old daughter looks up from the kitchen table and asks, "Dad, can you explain negative exponents?" And you pull up a chair to help her convert a fraction. In that moment, it hits you. The math you're doing right now, it's the exact same math you used to calculate those restaurant margins at age 19. The context has completely changed, sure, but the work remains. The $1 billion wasn't the actual achievement. Earning the right to peacefully return to that kitchen table, that was the achievement. Which leaves us with one final, absolutely vital question to think about. Do you have the extraordinary patience and discipline to endure the 28 years it takes to make that cyclical journey? Because somewhere in Queens tonight, there's another 19-year-old washing dishes. He's quietly writing observations in a notebook. He doesn't know about the millions he'll turn down one day, or the daughter he'll teach math to in 31 years. He is just putting his head down and doing the work, one Thursday at a time. So, the question is, are you?